Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of In the Kitchen with Lisa. I'm personal chef Lisa Spampinato, and today we are going to do a really quick and easy, what else, you know me so well, holiday breakfast. So this is something that's really great for either Christmas or New Year's, either eve or morning of, either one. Something you can make ahead, which is great. And we're going to be utilizing ingredients that are usually really only found during the holiday season in the local stores. So we're going to be doing an eggnog Pannetone French toast, which is almost like a bread pudding, with a homemade pear sauce and some brown sugar bacon. Really simple, but again, make ahead, which is great. So just to kind of show you some of the ingredients, this is one of the typical Pannetone breads, and it's a nice sweet Italian bread. It's also known as like an Italian fruit cake. It's got some raisins and some citrus bits in it, but it's not that dry, bricky kind of fruit bread that everybody kind of cringes away from. This is more of like a specialty, light and fluffy sponge cake kind of dessert. And in Italy, it's usually had with some nice sweet wine. Another variation on that is what's called a Pandora bread. And this is, again, a nice sweet sponge cake, but this one doesn't have the raisins and the citrus in it. So if your kids are kind of picky, this is the one you want. And I will tell you that usually, again, mostly around the holiday season, you can find them. If you can't find them in the grocery store, they always have them at TJ Maxx. So TJ Maxx will now have a run on them. And we're going to be utilizing eggnog, which is readily available in the stores at this time of year. And all eggnog really is eggs and heavy cream, sugar, and some cinnamon and nutmeg. And then, of course, rum if you choose to add the rum. So if you can't find it, you can make your own. Really simple ingredients. We've got some eggs, we've got some eggnog, we've got the Pannetone, some vanilla, and some seasoning. So let's get started. I'm going to show you what this looks like when you first get it. Okay. And I've already cut into half of this to make one in advance for you guys. But all you'd want to do, and you can see all the raisins and the citrus bits in there, and it's like a nice, soft, spongy cake. All you want to do is just kind of cut some slices, some really large slices. And before I've done this, I've gone ahead and preheated my oven to 375 if I'm going to bake it off right away. If not, I'm just going to put this in the fridge and let it sit overnight like you would any other French toast or bread pudding. Okay. So I've got my slices, and I'm going to cut them into cubes. And then I'll set them aside, and I'll show you how to make the custard mix with the eggnog. Okay. And what's nice about this is it looks really rustic once it's baked off. You'll see all the cubes are kind of peeking up, and it'll look really pretty. Okay, now this is the other one. And this one comes in a much different shape, so that if you wanted to do just individual actual grilled slices of French toast, this is really pretty because it looks like a star if you just want to cut it across and dip it and fry it. But we're going to do a casserole out of this one too. So you can cut it either way. Let me cut it in half. Put that part aside. And the knife I'm using that makes it a lot easier to cut is a serrated knife. Otherwise, you're going to be pushing down on the cake and kind of smushing it, which you don't want to do. Okay, you get the idea. So I'll grab another container for this in a minute. But in the meantime, I want to move on to making the custard part of it. Okay, well, I've gone ahead and finished cutting up the Pannetone and the Pannodore, this is the Pannodore without the raisins and the citrus, and this is the Pannetone, which you can see again has the little bits of citrus in it and the raisins. Yummy, yummy. So I'm going to go ahead and make the custard for that, and I've already got in my bowl here 2 whole eggs, large eggs, and to that I'm going to add 2 cups of the eggnog mixture. Okay. And you can see it almost, well, I poured it out already, but you can see the little flecks of spices and the vanilla bean in there. I'm also going to add a little bit more vanilla, but I'm going to use some extract. And I usually just kind of eye this. A couple of squirts there. I love vanilla. And then about a half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. and a half a teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And the nutmeg is kind of a little peppery and a little spicy, gives it a little bit more zing. Okay, then I'm just going to whisk it all up and make sure I get the egg yolks from those eggs incorporated in there really well. Okay, and this is enough for one batch, so I'm going to have to do it again for the other one. Okay, and that looks mixed up pretty well, and you can see all the spices in there. Looks beautiful. Okay, whoop. Making a mess. Okay, and then I'm just going to pour this over all that bread. Okay. And then you can let that sit overnight in your fridge, cover it and let it sit, so the panettone is really going to absorb that. Okay, I'll make one more batch now for the next one. And now with the panadore. And if you're not sure that it really coated every piece, you can go in with a spoon and mix it around a little bit and make sure every piece is coated. And again, cover it and put it in your fridge. Or if you're ready to bake it right now, make sure it's coated really well, into your 375-degree oven for about 40 to 45 minutes. Okay, and while we're doing that, I'm going to show you how to do some really extra special bacon. Okay, well, I've gone ahead and put our French toast bread pudding mixture kind of thing into the oven, again at 375 for about 40-45 minutes. You want to check it after 40, make sure it's not getting burned on the top. And what I have here now is just some regular bacon that I started to sprinkle some brown sugar over. So it's just going to take your bacon to the next step. And I used to make my bacon on the stovetop in a pan, and it was just really messy and it never fit all the bacon, so of course everybody loves bacon, at least in this house. So I use a sheet pan and I put it in the oven at 375, maybe 400, and I just let it go until, you know, I keep checking it, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on how long it takes, till it's all nice and crispy and golden. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and just sprinkle the top of it with a little brown sugar. And a tip for you guys, if you're storing your brown sugar like I am, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take a piece of bread, just regular bread, and stick it in there and close the top. And that bread helps to keep my brown sugar nice and soft so that it doesn't harden up and make it impossible for me to spread it and get it out. Okay, I'm going to use the old hand here. I think it's a little easier to break up some of those chunks.